What's up, NFL fans? It's NFL Nate back again. Today, we're going to be doing another mock draft. We're going to be doing this after the 49ers, Dolphins, and Eagles did a little mix-up in the draft. Obviously, the 49ers made that big jump up to 3. The Dolphins traded back, and then the Dolphins traded back up. So, Dolphins traded 2 times. This really mixes up the draft. Expected 2, 3, or even 4 quarterbacks going in a row. So we're going to see what happens. If you enjoy this type of NFL content, make sure to subscribe and leave a like on the video. And let's jump right into it. Number 1, Jacksonville Jaguars. They go Trevor Lawrence. This one really isn't a debate. Urban Meyer loves him. And I think this will start the Jaguars franchise, get them back on their feet, and head them in a good track. Next, we have the New York Jets going Zach Wilson. Now, with Sam Darnold still on the team after all of this free agency, he still could be traded, but even if he's not traded, I still expect them to take Zach Wilson. You saw what happened at Zach Wilson's pro day. He was just so good. The coach and the general manager have no connection to Zach Wilson, to Sam Darnold at all. They did not select him. So I think they want to start fresh. They start with Zach Wilson, and this is exactly what they need to start rebuilding this franchise with Robert Saleh. Then number 3, obviously the 49ers traded up. And they could go from many different quarterbacks, but I have them taking Trey Lance. Now, this is interesting because Justin Fields is in play here, and some people are even saying Mac Jones is in play right here. And on the Mac Jones thing, I just don't think it's really what Kyle Shanahan would want. Really, it's just there's 3... The 49ers are almost sure that Trevor Lawrence and Zach Wilson are off. I think if Zach Wilson falls to them, it's a no-brainer. They take him. But out of the 3 quarterbacks left, I think Kyle Shanahan has his eye on one guy. Everybody's just been guessing who he likes. I think it's Trey Lance because they traded up before Justin Fields' pro day. A lot of interesting, but it's very interesting. But I do think they take Trey Lance, so that's 3 quarterbacks off the board. Then number 4, I have the Atlanta Falcons taking Penei Sewell. I like this pick. Another very good scenario for the Falcons is Kyle Pitts. And another one is Justin Fields. This Atlanta Falcons pick, I literally have no clue what's going to happen. It could be a trade down spot. It could be a quarterback spot. There's so many different things the Falcons could do here. I just don't, it's the most confusing pick in the draft in my opinion. But I think they go with a talent that you cannot underestimate. Penei Sewell, probably the best O-lineman in the class. So I think the Atlanta Falcons take a very talented offensive lineman. Then number 5, we have a trade up. I have the New England Patriots trading up to get Justin Fields. Now, they could wait until he slides a little bit so they give up less, but I don't think the Patriots are willing to take that risk. I think they're kind of in a mini rebuild since Tom Brady. I think this year they're going to get up and running, but the year after that, if they get a quarterback like Justin Fields this year, in 2022, they could be very good if Justin Fields gets grooving with Bill Belichick and the New England Patriots. I think Justin Fields could learn from Cam Newton. I think it's a perfect place for Justin Fields to go, and I think the New England Patriots would give up a first-rounder next year or even more to get Justin Fields. I think it's what the Patriots need to do here. Then we have the Miami Dolphins taking Jamarr Chase. Jamarr Chase, if he falls to the Dolphins, it probably is a no-brainer unless they want to take Penei Sewell. But I think Jamarr Chase, perfect fit. I think he'll instantly become the number 1 wide receiver over DeVonta Parker and Will Fuller. He's just that good. Watched his pro day. He has elite speed, elite quickness. I think he'll easily be the first wide receiver off the board and the Dolphins pick if he falls to the at number 6. Then we have the Detroit Lions going DeVonta Smith. I like this one for the Detroit Lions. I don't think they're going to take Mac Jones. I don't think they're in play for him. They could go Micah Parsons. They could go Jaylen Waddle. But I think they need to get a number 1 wide receiver like DeVonta Smith to help Jared Goff make these, fill in that gap that Kenny Golladay had when he left. And I think it'll be very good for Jared Goff because he lost a ton of weapons in Marvin Jones and Kenny Golladay. That offensive line is mediocre as well. It's just a lot of holes, so you just got to fill some of them. I think you just take a very talented Heisman Trophy winner wide receiver. At number 8, we have the Carolina Panthers taking Kyle Pitts. They're also in play for Mac Jones. A lot of teams are in play for Mac Jones, But I do think they go Kyle Pitts. If Kyle Pitts falls this far to 8, I think they pick him up. And now you might be saying, oh, 8, that's not that far to fall. But Kyle Pitts is so good. He ran a 4.44 40-yard dash at his pro day as a tight end. Like, he's just a generational talent that if the Carolina Panthers see at 8, I don't think they can pass up. This will be so good for the Carolina Panthers if they pick him up. And so I think they pick Kyle Pitts at number 8. Then we have the Denver Broncos. I think have them picking Mac Jones. Now, Broncos fans, they might not be happy with this, but you have to have quarterback competition this year for the Broncos. You have Drew Lock, and you might say, oh, well, Drew Lock's going to be better next year. He could be better next year, but you just don't know. You need to get competition in there. Mac Jones will either elevate the play of Drew Lock, or he will eventually take the starting role. I think Mac Jones will be good throwing to all those wide receiver weapons. And the Broncos, they have a very good roster. I just think they need a quarterback, and they could be a playoff contender for sure. I think Mac Jones is very underrated. People are discounting him, but he was a Heisman finalist and was a national champion. So I do think he's a very good quarterback that the Denver Broncos would like at number 9. Then I have the Dallas Cowboys picking Patrick Surtain. This one's mocked a lot, Surtain to the Cowboys. He's just a very good corner. They could go J.C. Horn here if they do think J.C. Horn is better than Patrick Surtain, but I think they take Surtain. He's just a very good corner that the Dallas Cowboys could use in that secondary. Then number 11, I have the New York Giants taking Micah Parsons. The New York Giants, if a quarterback like Justin Fields, Trey Lance, or Mac Jones is right here, I think this is a for sure trade down spot if they get a good offer, because they could use edge rusher, but if they trade down, they could still get a good edge rusher. But I think if Micah Parsons is still here, they just take that versatile weapon that they can use on defense. They could even rush the passer with him, so that also helps with that. So I think the Giants wouldn't pass on a talent like Micah Parsons. Then we have the Philadelphia Eagles taking Jaylen Waddle. Jaylen Waddle would be so good for the Eagles, and Jalen Hurts, just a speedster with hands and route running. Very good wide receiver. So I think the Philadelphia Eagles pick him up at number 12. Then number 13, I have the Chargers taking Rashawn Slater. This one's also mocked a lot. I think the Chargers, if Rashawn Slater falls to them, which he has been climbing up draft boards, I do think if he falls to them, it's a no-brainer for the Chargers. Plug him in that left tackle spot, and their O-line starting to look really good with Corey Linsley, Matt Filer, Rashawn Slater, Brian Bulaga, etc. So I do think if they get a left tackle right here, especially at Rashawn Slater's caliber, it will be very good for them. At number 14, I have the Minnesota Vikings taking Christian Darrisaw. They also need a offensive tackle, so I do think they pick him up, Christian Darrisaw up at number 14. A very good offensive tackle that you could definitely plug in day one for the Minnesota Vikings and to help repair that offensive line, make running holes for Dalvin Cook. Then at number 15, the Bengals traded back, but they still get Elijah Vera Tucker, the third offensive lineman off the board. I like this for the Bengals because at number 5, if Penei Sewell is gone, you could take Rashawn Slater, which is definitely a possibility, but if you trade back, you still have a potential of either Slater, Darrisaw, or Vera Tucker falling to you at 15 while picking up draft picks for the future of this young team. So I do think the Bengals, that would be a very good scenario for them if they traded back and got Vera Tucker. Then at 16, we have the Arizona Cardinals selecting J.C. Horn, and J.C. Horn has been rising up a lot of draft boards, so I feel like if he falls to the Cardinals, it would be a great pickup. A Patrick Peterson replacement, not a replacement instantly, but can eventually get up to there. So this is going to be a very good pickup for the Arizona Cardinals if they get him. Next, moving on, we have the Las Vegas Raiders taking Tevin Jenkins. That O-line's pretty beat up for the Raiders. They lost a lot of key players, so getting someone like Tevin Jenkins would really help the Raiders. It would just start to rebuild that offensive line because you don't want Derek Carr under pressure. Next, the Dolphins. I have them taking Jalen Phillips, the first edge rusher. He's going to be a very, very good edge rusher to help that defense become even better. I think he's very ready for the NFL and can become an instant playmaker for the Dolphins defense. Next, we have the Washington football team selecting Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. I think he would very, very help that Washington football defense, and especially with those 4 offensive linemen, Tevin Jenkins, and the other 3 going right off the board before them. I think they just pick up a very versatile linebacker that can help on that defense. Then we have the Chicago Bears selecting Rashad Bateman. Rashad Bateman, I think, can eventually become the Allen Robinson replacement because they just franchise tagged him. They didn't sign him. So if he goes away next year, I think if Rashad Bateman learns from him, he can eventually become their Allen Robinson replacement. And that would be very good for the Bears because you want that number one wide receiver spot good. So I have Rashad Bateman going to the Bears. Next, we have the Indianapolis Colts selecting Samuel Cosmi. They need to another person to at that left tackle position. They didn't do much in free agency, so I think if they plug up that, you can take a cornerback here, which is definitely another need, but I don't think it's worth the risk of not protecting Carson Wentz because you saw what happened when he's not good under pressure. He makes mistakes under pressure. We want to see what he can do with a clean pocket. I think Samuel Cosmi will allow them to be able to do that. And will definitely be an upgrade and will help Carson Wentz and elevate his play. Next, we have the Tennessee Titans going Trayvon Merrick. Now, this one was interesting for the Titans because I could have gone edge rusher. There's still a lot of good edge rushers on the board. But Trayvon Merrick is looking very, very good. I think this would just help their defense. He can be a versatile weapon on that defense and can just move around and make plays. This might not be a biggest need for the Titans, but it will definitely elevate their defense, which is a need in general. Their defense is. So I think overall it's going to be a good pickup for the Titans. Next, we have the New York Jets selecting Caleb Farley. Now, Caleb Farley has been going down draft boards because of his back injury, obviously. So I think the New York Jets would be glad to pick him up. His back injury is bad, but he's probably not going to make an instant impact because he won't be able to go to camp that much. But for the Jets, they're kind of a rebuilding team. They want to get those pieces in. They're not rushed to make the playoffs or go for a Super Bowl run. They're slowly going to build up that team. Picking up Caleb Farley and giving him a few years and then he develops into a star cornerback is exactly what they would want. So I think the New York Jets' Caleb Farley here is perfect. Then we have a trade. We have the Green Bay Packers trading up to select Greg Newsome, another cornerback off the board. It's a very interesting trade-up. I think the Green Bay Packers would do this because Kevin King, they re-signed for a one-year deal, but they want to seal up that secondary. You saw what happened in the NFC Championship game. They get that secondary good. They get their guy, Greg Newsome, who's also been shooting up draft boards. And I think this would be a nice fit for the Green Bay Packers. And they would just have to give up probably a third, a fourth-round pick to trade up 5 spots up to here. Next, we have the Jacksonville Jaguars selecting Christian Barmore. This one's interesting because with Trayvon Merrick off the board and with a lot of corners off the board, I think they just go D-line. They solidify that. They really get that Saxonville group back together. They make a new one. They got some good edge rushers, so I think if they get Christian Barmore, he can create some interior pressure and be really good for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Then, at number 26, I have the Cleveland Browns selecting Kwity Paye. Kwity Paye kind of fell in this draft, so I do think the Cleveland Browns would be very happy to scoop him up. Pair him side of next to Myles Garrett. That would be a deadly duo. Myles Garrett could really help teach Kwity Paye and just be a mentor for him, and it would be a perfect fit for the Browns and make that defensive front very, very good. Then number 27, we have Azeez Al-Jawari for the Baltimore Ravens. They also need an edge rusher. I think Azeez Al-Jawari is a great fit for them, and I think the Baltimore Ravens could really use an edge rusher like him. Then we have the New Orleans Saints selecting another cornerback. I think there's going to be a demand for corners this draft because there wasn't that many in free agency. So I think Eric Stokes would be a great fit for the New Orleans Saints, a very fast corner that can run around the field and make plays. So I do think the New Orleans Saints will like that. Then we have the Pittsburgh Steelers. They traded down, and now they pick up Najee Harris. I think this would be a good play for the Steelers. A deep O-line class, a lot of offensive linemen already taken in this first round. They trade back. They get their star running back in the backfield, and they pick up an extra pick that they'll probably use on O-line to be able to get that running game to work. I think this would be a very good strategy for the Steelers if they want to take a running back in the first round, is to trade down a few picks so that you can get some more value and not overdraft a running back. Then at number 30, we have the Buffalo Bills selecting Gregory Rousseau. I think he will be a very good edge rusher to pair up with what they already have on that defense. He'll take a little bit of time to develop and is kind of a risky player, but I do think he will eventually pay out and be a good player for the Buffalo Bills. And then At number 31, I have the Kansas City Chiefs selecting Dillon Radunz. They lost Mitchell Schwartz and Eric Fisher, so they got to replace some of those tackles. I think Dillon Radunz can replace one of those sides. A very good offensive tackle that protected Trey Lance from North Dakota State. And then the final, I have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers selecting Levi Onwuzurike. I'm bad at pronouncing his name, but I think D-line would be a good priority for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They don't have many holes. They don't need O-line, really. They don't need wide receivers, running back, quarterback. So their offense looks good. I think getting an edge rusher or a D-lineman would just be good for the Bucs. An instant impact player like Levi Onwuzurike can really help the Bucs. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed, please leave a like and subscribe. If you enjoy this kind of NFL content, watch my last video right here, and I'll see you guys all in the next one. See ya!